Well, a warm welcome to today's talk, Saturday the 11th of February. Now, to tell you the truth, I'm a little concerned. As a matter of fact, I'm more than a little concerned because I've just updated my sort of data set on excess deaths throughout various countries. And I'm pleased to say that the latest data shows that deaths are about 4% below what we would expect in Romania at the end of 2022. In all the other major developed Western countries that I've looked at, the excess deaths are higher. Let's look at them now, and we're going to look at this from Our World in Data. Our World in Data is an excellent site. We've used it many times. There's the link, and this is a direct quote from their site. Research and data to make progress against the world's largest problems. And they do look at many of the world's largest problems. But this one is remarkably concerning today. Let's get straight into it. This is the data for Australia. So we see that the excess deaths have been up. So this is the end. This is 2021 here. So they've been up for all of 2022. Now this is the pattern that we're seeing around the world. This is in the time of Omicron, where deaths from COVID were really quite low. We know that COVID is not accounting for all of these deaths, and we've looked at statins and blood pressure medications lately, and we find that they don't account for all of these deaths either. There's other factors at play here, probably several factors, but let's carry on and looking at the data. So that's Australia. Okay, that data is only up to about the end of 2022, so a little out of date, but it's what we've got from Our World in Data. Now this is again up till the end of August, September. Canada really needs to get their act together a bit quicker on data here, but we see it's about 3% above the average, whereas Australia was about 9% above the average. Now this is Denmark, 30% above the average. This is absolutely incredible. The percentage difference between the reported number of weekly or monthly deaths in 20 to 2022 and the average number of deaths in the same period for 2015 to 2019. The reported number might not count all the deaths that occurred due to incomplete coverage or delays in reporting. I don't think that's the case in Denmark. Unlike other countries, their data is actually pretty up to date and very comprehensive indeed. So there we go, 30% excess mortality, deaths from all causes compared to the average over previous years. This is England and Wales, so we're on round about 20% here at the moment, above what we would expect, but more concerningly we see it's been up all the time. The official data at the moment showing about 9% increase in deaths in the United Kingdom overall for 2022. Well over 60,000 deaths. Just imagine 60,000 people have been killed in a terrorist attack or an earthquake. This would be rather big news, but because 60,000 people have died mostly at home, people aren't talking about it. Well, we are talking about it and we want answers. So that's England and Wales. This is Finland. So Finland, excess deaths there about 9% at the moment. But again, we see this pattern throughout 2022. It's been higher than we would expect by quite a margin. This is France. Currently, France, okay, it's been above. Of course, we know these peaks here are due to the due to coronavirus. They're not surprising, but we see that France is currently about 25% above what we would expect in terms of excess mortality. Germany is about 44% above, so a massive spike in Germany. 44% above what we would expect. This is a matter of massive concern. Why isn't this being discussed all over the place? Esther McVeigh is the only person to bring it up in the British Parliament recently, and she was basically, I think we'd have to say she was poo-pooed by the minister, which was unfortunate. So there we go. Germany, massive excess mortality. This is Hungary. Now, Hungary there is probably about 16% excess mortality. The excess mortality in quite a few Eastern European countries is somewhat lower than in Western European countries, and we'll be looking at ways to investigate that in a minute. Ireland, about 90% about 19% excess deaths at the moment, and again we see they've been high throughout 2022. No surprise about the peaks in the pandemic, of course, but it is surprising that they are still so much higher in Ireland. Netherlands, excess deaths in Netherlands, we're looking about, 36% there, 37%. So again, another great increase, been high throughout all of, not quite all of 2022. It was actually lower for a little bit there, but for most of it, it's been higher in the Netherlands. This is Norway at the moment. Norwegian deaths are about 20, getting on for 30% higher than we would expect. Again, January 2023 data. New Zealand, slightly more up to date than we've had from New Zealand, which is good to see. Excess deaths there about 16, 17% higher in New Zealand. This is Poland, about 22% higher than we would expect. This is Portugal. Portugal, not quite so bad, around about 4% higher than we would expect. Romania is the only one which is delayed, but of course this data is also delayed. This is not only for the end of 2022, and not overly convinced, to tell you the truth, about the veracity of the Romanian data. Scotland, we're looking at about 16% above the average. This is South Korea. Massive peak in that's 2022 really, isn't it? Massive peak in South Korea. Despite being massively vaccinated in South Korea, they actually suffered quite a lot from Omicron. So quite a few of these are COVID deaths from Omicron, but other causes as well, of course. But their point is these are excess, more than we would expect. So more of the excess deaths in South Korea can be attributed to COVID more than in other countries, but it is a bit of an exception. But other causes there as well, of course. Slovakia, again, Eastern European country, relatively low, about 2% excess deaths there. Sweden, we're on about 9% excess deaths. Switzerland, around about 15% excess deaths in Switzerland. Taiwan, about 25% excess deaths in Taiwan. I mean, it just goes on and on, doesn't it? This is just incredible. Why is this not the main international story? Our people are dying. United States, well, again, high throughout. Well, that's all this. The United States, again, a lot of people die in the United States during Omicron, but it's remained high during all of 2022. In the United States, of course, Omicron killed more people because of a lot of comorbidities. The diabetes in the United States, we noticed the other day, is about 11.1% of the entire population, combined with obesity and hypertension and other risk factors. So been high all throughout 2022 and still remains high in the United States. And I'm just going to show you one more picture. Here we have it here. This is a barrier. Let's hope there's no barriers to transparency. Now this barrier here is a real barrier, so we know at least one barrier exists. And this was built in the 1940s as a defence. It's a defence defending a military harbour in Scotland. It's called the Churchill Barrier. Now, in the early 1940s in the UK, barriers were necessary, and transparency was not always possible because we're in a situation of war then. Now, we don't need to build barriers because we're not in a war. So let's hope there are no barriers to transparency now. I'll leave you to decide on that yourself. So I've made a note of all these numbers here. I'm going to put them in the description so you can peruse them for yourself, and do check them out on Our World in Data. They're the excess deaths in all these countries. I mean, Germany's huge, 43% excess deaths in Germany. We really need some explanation for this, with Romania the only one with lower deaths than we would expect. Now, Sir Austin Bradford Hill we've looked at before, inventor of the clinical trial, discoverer with Richard Doll of the link between smoking and lung cancer and the link between smoking and heart disease. How do we decide where causation takes over from correlation? Was basically what the Austin Bradford Hill criteria look at. And one of them is this: consistency. reproducibility. Consistent findings observed by different persons in different places. Different persons, different places. Well, we've just looked at all these different countries where exactly the same phenomena is occurring. Does this indicate some commonalities in the cause or causes or overlap of the causality in these areas? I would have thought so, wouldn't you? I really would have thought so. With different samples, that strengthens the likelihood of an effect. Temporality, the effect has to occur after the cause, often with a delay. So if you inhale, for example, asbestos, you could develop mesothelioma 20, 30, 40 years later. Sometimes there's a delay. But the cause has to come before the effect. That's the whole point of temporality. Plausibility, a plausible mechanism between cause and effect is helpful. So Austin-Bradford-Hill criteria, we've looked at them before. Surely the great government epidemiologists around the world could use these to try and work out some possibilities. So excess deaths in the UK, we're down 60,000 people. Time to start jumping up and down about that, I would have thought. Really is quite an incredible number. Office for National Statistics, completely different topic now. Office for National Statistics in the UK, check out the link for yourself. As we say, completely different topic now. They look at deaths by vaccination status, or they did. Now, the latest data set for this was uploaded on the 31st of May 2022. This is up to date as of the 31st of May 2022. 8 months ago now. 8 months ago. Now, before that, let's just look at when they uploaded. So they uploaded in July 2021. Then they waited a couple of months, August, September, October. They updated that. So that's a 2-month gap. That's a 1-month gap there. October, November, December. So that's a 2-month gap there when they uploaded. December, January. So that's a 1-month gap there. Then January, February, March. So that's a 3-month gap there. Then they uploaded March, April, May. So that's a 2-month gap there. And now we have a 8-month gap now. So having uploaded religiously 2 months, 1 month, 2 months, 2 months, 1 month, 3 months, 2 months. It's now 8 months since they've uploaded. Because it really would be good if they would upload and let us know how effective these vaccines have been. Why on earth haven't they done that? Why aren't they publishing this data to show us how many lives have been saved by COVID vaccination? As always, thank you for watching.